The Her Tribe is a small initiative for my lovely women friends with a vision to bring our own attention to health, emotional well-being, financial literacy, and professional growth, basically issues that matter to us the most. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Ms Harleen Chadhaa on the Her Tribe. Welcome, Harleen.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you for having me over. And thank you for this beautiful and a lovely initiative of the Her Tribe. The way, you are trying to encourage women to come on the forum and do the needful. It's such an honor to be associated with this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure is all ours as well. I will update the audience a bit about Harleen before we move on to the show. Harleen has been associated with learning and development. She's been a facilitator by passion and choice. Harleen has been associated with the world of education for more than 2 decades. A hands-on trainer in multiple domains, designed and conducted transformational projects, communication, behavioral skills, change management, and a coach on development and sustaining relationships. That's amazing. And coming from the family with generations into the Indian Army, Harleen is inherently skilled to adapt and relate to people across cultures and backgrounds. Salute to that, Harleen. Welcome once again, and honored to have you on board. Great.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you for such kind words. Always a pleasure and reinforcing, to hear something good about oneself. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that's the very purpose of the Her Tribe. We must all encourage each other. That's amazing. Okay, great. So we should probably take on and start with our session for the day. As the topic itself says, adversity and how it helps us make stronger. So what are your views about adversity, Harleen, in general about life? And what do you think role that adversity plays in developing a person's identity?
Thank you for your question, Aditi. I think adversity is, no matter what you do, no matter where you belong to, regardless of how pious, how good, how clever, how sharp, how talented, whatever be, your core strengths, there are certain unprecedented and heart-wrenching moments that we'll all encounter in our life. Either we've done them or, sooner than later, we will come across situations for which we are not prepared for. So those difficult situations is what we call adversities. That's my take on it. And when I talk about adversities, believe you me, it is inevitable. No matter how well you're prepared, accidents might still happen. And as they say, actually accidents happen in the best regulated families. It is an indispensable part of a life. But the whole idea of all this is, how do we treat it? We treat it as a roadblock or we treat it as a springboard. Now that is what depends on us. Whether we turn our focus into getting bitter or by the day, getting better. No matter what we do, whatever we try, we just can't get away with it. We have to deal with it. Earlier, the better. So these so-called adversity-rich experiences, whether we encourage a victim mentality or a victim mentality, that is what depends on us. I think that is my take on it.
That is amazing. So we all know the sad part of adversity, the tragic part, the word itself conveys a lot. What is the other part of the coin, you think?
So adversity is a double-edged sword, I would say. Unless and until somebody is practically put into the water, one doesn't learn how to swim. No matter theoretically, whatever we've done, the challenges that we face, that is what makes us the person we are. I think that is what, either you get sucked into the whirlpool, that is one way of it, or very, very nicely, one can actually emerge out of it, because this is something that shapes our character and it molds our future behavior, I would say. So whatever we've not done, whatever limitations that we always imagined, we realize we're much stronger than what we've actually believed. So I think adversity that way, literally, it plays a very vital role, One not only learns and one not only, I would say, experiences something which is very different, for which you're not prepared, but at the same time, it gives you something to grow. It fuels you to perform. And at the same time, I think very mandatory. Remember that poem of Mahadevi Verma, Rehne Do Pyasi Aankhein, something like,
yes.
So I would say the school going, remember class 9th and 10th?
Absolutely.
And it's always the smooth roads never make skilled drivers. So adversity is one thing that shapes us into the person that we are.
That is so rightly said. And your example about driving, or sorry, the swimming part is so important. And this reminds me about, you can't learn driving as well unless you start, you do it yourself. So that is so true. And ultimately, it takes us through life learnings and whatsoever. It's important to take it as it comes. That's right. Okay, so this makes me think, since we as women are talking here and we have this forum for all about women. So with your experience, what are your views on how do women generally handle adversity, with the basically events that are unprecedented?
I think vis-a-vis men, I might appear to be gender biased, but vis-a-vis men, I have a feeling that they handle it much smarter and much. And apart from that, what I feel is, I think they are the ones who can actually take adversity as a close friend. They can come out of the situation very, very well. But the only thing here is like one has to be prepared for something like this. Mm-hmm. The earlier we accept, better it is for us. Simple strategies, but I think that holds good. Everybody is, their experiences are way too different. Everybody has a different story. Everybody's strengths and weaknesses are very, very different. But at the same time, what needs to be done is take one day at a time, and then take one day at a time, maybe handle that, embrace whatever is coming your way. So always just harp on whatever needs to be done to, even if it means upskilling, even if it means getting better, even if it means connecting with the external resources, but it sounds, that needs to be done. And you remember that little story wherein, so there were everybody who just flocked the God one day and said, God, you've not been kind. Life has been very, very unfair. And we've got to face so much in life. What is it that you're doing about us? So the God says, okay, one by one, just tell me, what your concerns are, what your problems are. So whenever you were in the blessed times, you never came to me. Today, when you are going through the trying times, it's like, you want to voice your opinion, so let's hear it. Everybody sitting on the table picked up his own bundle of problems and went away. Why? Because there are so many things that are happening. And all women, apart from multitasking, we know that they are the work task, which is absolutely not, most of the working hours are not paid. And at the same time, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether it is domestic, whether it's the emotional upheaval, they're already going through so much. And because they're going through so much, I think they sooner than later, based on their experiences, based on a fraternity like the Her Tribe, and one woman helping the other, having each other's back, I think that is what helps them really navigate through with a lot of strengths that they have, creating resilience. And as a matter of fact, women are more resilient. Women are, no matter how gender biased I sound, but they are resilient. So they're they're better equipped, as I feel, to conquer any obstacles that they encounter.
Completely agree. It's not about being gender biased, I think. This again reminds me of, it's a common joke amongst men that, men will be men or boys will be boys. It's like a common joke. So I think God has made men and women like that. There are some things that are very inherent to the men and very inherent to the women. And when it comes about resilience, I completely agree. And I'm sure many of our friends would agree to that. So as a follow-up to this, what do you think, if I were to ask, maybe just pinpoint three most common concerns that women generally face? Adversity is, of course, a very stronger term, but, in our day-to-day lives, we come across so many other concerns, challenges. So what would be those three common concerns that we all face, and what would be your suggestion or advice on handling these situations better?
So when we talk about women, I really, encompassing them into three things, it's going to be really tedious. The multiple things that they follow, that they face, that they encounter day in and day out. But yes, one of the most things is I have a feeling, I'm based on my interaction with most of the people, unless and until they are in the driver's seat, they're not taken seriously. No matter how qualified they are, no matter how equipped they are, but somehow or the other, they're not taken seriously. There's so many people, with whom I've interacted post this personal tragedy of mine. I realize so many of them are not very financially upskilled. They're not very aware of what their financial status are, or what is the paperwork and things like. Second is, I think I have a feeling that they are not as exposed to things which require their immediate attention. That is one part of it. And last but not the least, I have a feeling that most of us, we keep ourselves on the back seat, in the sense that whether it's our medicals, whether it's prioritizing ourselves, whether it is being able to take decisions for ourselves, I think we all, till the time it doesn't become very mandatory for us.
I completely agree. And, you very rightly said about financial independence. And that is what worries me a lot. I have seen so many friends, people in family, may it be any age group, even women in the 50s or 60s who are in their retirement age to, middle-aged. Unless you have some financial independence, I think the bug doesn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that would be one important aspect that we would be dealing with in our next session. So you very rightly pointed out, and I really wish and hope that we together do something that brings out more and more women on the track of taking control of their own life. Very rightly said. So my next question would be, what would be your advice to the women who are going through any kind of emotional, mental, financial, or identity crisis? It could be for any reason.
So, these are certain challenges which will keep reoccurring, sooner than later. I think if we can just create a more tolerant and resilient selves, I think that is something which is going to help us evade those challenges. And unless and until, we do not harp on our own strengths, we will never be able to have that confidence and that ability to conquer all of those obstacles. We'll not be able to navigate through them. So the ground rule for navigation is be prepared. Anything and everything that you're doing, be it as minor as, say, getting a hand of your household stuff, or as minor as, your bank accounts, whatever it is, get a hold of it, spend some time, be in the moment, understand and realize its importance. It's not that one fine day something might happen and then, we pull up our socks. It's about being prepared. The more we sweat in the fields, the less we bleed in war. So if you're prepared, if you're confident, if you're resilient, if you're meticulous, these are those little things which will not only make us more confident about the whole thing, but at the same time, it will give us a hands-on experience with things. So today's word is not about academic qualification. It is about being in the moment and being upskilled. The shelf life of a particular, scenario, it's really drastically reduced. So every time there is something new, every time there is a change, we need to be extremely, extremely adaptable to that. I cannot do and I won't be able to do, that's not going to work. How quickly I can alter my thought process and how well I can take it forward, that is what makes the difference.
I really love that, and the conviction with which, you really say that. I think that absolutely justifies you as an NLP coach and a transformational coach. These are really big terms that I see in your profile, but now I understand why is it, and the conviction that with which you convey the message. I think it really makes all the sense. Most of us, keep hearing these things around us, but what personally I think is, we ourselves don't take these things mostly seriously. If we come to, most of these matters where decision making is concerned, or even financial literacy is concerned, I think many a times it is women themselves who don't take that front seat. Okay, so I also came across something like about adventurer and attitude expert when I read about your profile. What is it all about?
Okay, this is something very, very close to my heart, and I completely and wholly believe in this. So it is, our attitude towards a particular thing that actually not only dictates our destiny, but at the same time makes us into the person that we are. So whatever we are doing, the word attitude, I'm not talking about numerologically. If hypothetically, if every alphabet of English is, given a point or a marks, say starting from 1 to 26, the 26th alphabet, this is the only word which totals to 100. So attitude is at the helm of everything, that is what the foundation of the whole thing starts. So when we talk about attitude, the first alphabet A is, it depends on affirmation. We've all seen a seed, it's a miracle. Till this time, the seed is in a packet. We've just not aware, what it's going to be. The type of plant, whether it'll be a sapling or it'll be a tree or it'll bear fruits, we're not aware. It's an absolute miracle. Similarly, the affirmations that we give ourselves. I'm capable, I know that. If I think that I cannot do it, no matter what extrinsic motivation comes my way, I'm already mentally between my ears, I know that I can't do it. So I'll never be able to do it. So that affirmations that we give us, very, very important. Even in a split second, even for fun, don't say, mujhse nahi hoga. I am just not meant for this. Oh, I'm not capable. I have a heavy foot. It always happens with me. Believe you me, whatever you think, that becomes your reality. So the affirmations that we give ourselves, we are in the abundant world. I am gifted. God has blessed me. I have a beautiful life. That is what works. Second is whatever the T here, that is the trust. Have faith in that. When we are working outside in the professional field also, we really, honesty and integrity are the two values that we look at. So when we are giving ourselves affirmation, are we trusting those affirmations? Are they that good? Or am I saying it, from the tip of the tongue? Do I mean it? Do I resonate with what I'm saying? That trust I have to build in. That value addition, that trust, that is something that I need to do. Second T is for the thoughts, positive or negative. My negative thoughts are very, very capable of enslaving me into the bondage that I don't even see, non-tangible. But at the same time, a positive thought, that is something that can liberate me to the way I want. I have responsibility, an equal responsibility towards myself. Whatever be the scenario, I is for introspect and take the responsibility. I'm not saying that I need to do a shift the blame game. I'm not saying if I'm weak and vulnerable, I cannot accept it. I need to introspect and take the responsibility how I take myself from there. So what if I'm not very good? But that doesn't mean I cannot become better. So what if today I'm lacking in A, B, C, whatever kind of a scenario? That doesn't mean, that doesn't determine my future. It really doesn't say that, whether I'll be successful on future or not. It depends on what I do after I've been. Policies that we generally do, being aware of oneself. Next T is for the trials. Whatever it is, the future will come unannounced. But we are the creators of our destiny. We have it within us. Nobody from outside is going to give us a shoulder to cry. Once, twice, thrice. But if we do not upskill ourselves, if we do not take off the stock of the situation, if we are not in the driver's seat, believe you me, we'll be just tossed and turned at various places. The earlier we realize, the better I think it does to us. D is define boundaries. Nobody in the world has any obligation to keep us in good humor. Simple and plain. If we want, we should know. Not every colleague that I speak to is a friend of mine. I need to know my boundaries. What is it that I know? When I have to say no, a very affirmative no, I need to tell the people, okay, sorry, it's beyond me. I cannot do it. That is it. And E is not anything and everything is your responsibility. What you cannot do, own up. Defer, delegate, make your life simple. Life is not as complicated as we've made it. It's all about your attitude. Everything is doable. The point is that we need to start believing that it's doable. It is those small things, the small changes, the small thoughts that make the big differences in life.
That's an amazing definition. Attitude.
I'll just narrate this, Aditi. I would want to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to narrate that short story of a starfish, Okay. So there was this man who was taking a walk at the beach, and there were multiple starfishes, that got tossed up because of the waves. So this man, whatever he could do, he would pick up the starfish and throw it back into the sea. So there was a man who was walking behind him, and he says, you know what? There's so many of them, millions of them that get tossed on. It doesn't make a difference whether you do it or not. This man still moves forward, bends, and picks up another starfish. And he says, you know what? It made a difference to this starfish.
Yeah.
So these little things that make a lot of difference.
That's an amazing, short, simple story with such a strong message. And the definition that you took us through about attitude, that's really amazing. And we all know how important attitude is in life, but generally we keep forgetting, and we really, miss out on one or the other element, and that is where we generally feel stuck. So I think that was a very good explanation. In fact, one of our viewers has a very interesting question. Sunena here says, we generally avoid some decision making because we are more skeptical about the results. What if something goes wrong? So how do we deal with that?
Okay. So even if we are not taking a decision, that is also taking a decision.
How?
We decided not to take a decision, but ultimately we are not realizing we've already taken a decision. So sooner than later, we need to weigh the pros and cons. Whatever needs to be fixed needs to be fixed. I cannot stay in a house under a roof which has a leaking roof. I need to repair it. If this is something in my life that needs my attention, be it so. I might as well. If I am not able to do it, let me take help. I don't have to spread myself too thin. But at the same time, in case there's a need, I can always ask for help and assistance. We all have our shortcomings. None of us, that wabi-sabi concept, that Japanese wabi-sabi concept, we are all beautifully imperfect. And with our perfections, we make our perfect work. That is what life is all about.
That is so amazing. I mean, the leaking roof example, and having taken a decision of not doing something is a very big and maybe a bad decision at times. Yeah, I really agree to that. That's well explained. Thanks for that, Harleen. So what do you think, how to enhance positivity in life? What I mean here is, it's easier said than done at times. So what would be that magic mantra, or how to incorporate or, have those habits into, take those decisions right, and that leads to positivity or happier and fulfilling life? What would be that magic mantra?
So, all of us have a different life. What works for one doesn't work for another. But at the same time, whatever be our battles, whatever be our journey, whatever be our challenges, whatever scenarios and situations we are in, I think if we start accepting whatever is around us, we take the bull by the horn. We do not apply on that, fear of flight kind of a mechanism, but we take the bull by the horn. And I think what we really need to look into is, maybe even if it is a simple 1-day step, baby steps, what we need to do is we need to take that. And at the same time, being happy, it can be, what works well for me, I can tell you, is whenever I feel helpless, I try and help others. So for others, if it could be another scenario, it could be maybe, a little music, a walk in the nature. Just pick up your phone and call up a friend. That'll do. Do some charity if it works for you. Give yourself a time. I mean, not everything in the world is your responsibility. Shift your perspective, Don't get bogged down by whatever is happening. There are certain things which will pain. There's no denying. There'll be certain situations which will be beyond our control. But what we need to do is, even if it is a little sense of accomplishment, even if it is a little appreciation, even if it's a little acknowledgement of whatever we do, at least we can keep ourselves in good humor. We do not have to wait for validation from others. Whatever little things that we do, even if it means, maybe just sitting in the balcony, listening to the birds chirping, that also does good. Any little thing that appeals to you, that resonates with you, it's going down the memory lane, picking up your old photographs and going through it, cherishing those happy moments, speaking to the children, whatever appeals to you. Even if it means patting your own little pet, do that. Cuddle the pet, read a book, whatever works for you. You have the responsibility to keep yourself happy. And once you have it, I think it's a very doable thing.
So well said. Thank you so much for that. I really loved it. Okay, so this makes me think, perspective is also very important in life. It's all about perspective. Something that may be very difficult for me may be very easy for you, and vice versa. So what do you think, is a shift in perspective important with different stages or situations in life?
Very important. Every coin has two sides. Number 6 or number 9, depending on where we are standing. Wherever we are, and that's the best part about perspective, that is our reality. It might be a fact, it might be an opinion, it might be true, it might be untrue. It all depends. So I think what works well in a scenario like this is, let us seek first to understand and then be understood. I think this is where empathy comes in. This is where understanding, or maybe walking the other person's shoes. Understanding where, what is the level from which the person is understanding or the person is operating. When you shift that perspective, maybe sometimes, you realize, simple little thing again, there are 2 children fighting over an orange, okay? Both of them need an orange. Now, if somebody asks them, okay, they come to the mother, I need an orange, one says, and the other also says, I need an orange. So the mother, very quickly, she says, okay, you know what? You can make 2 halves, have one, both of you have one of them. Both of you take 1 half, and that way you'll be satisfied. But she didn't realize, and she didn't introspect. One child wanted the orange peels to give a seasoning for the cake. The other child literally wanted to have an orange. So, when you're looking at the perspective, you're asking them questions, you are understanding what it is, you're seeking those questions. Apparently, it becomes much easier to understand, the other person's perspective.
That's so well said. Very nice. So that's a great message. Another question that comes to my mind, and one of our viewers also asks, when we talk of financial literacy, which takes us to financial freedom, we need to be either, doing something of our own. It may not necessarily be a six-figure job, but, it could be a professional engagement to a small engagement, doing something at home where you can manage your house to everything all around. It's all about, being productively engaged and, managing all your fronts. So, while doing those multitasks, so we've all heard women are those multitaskers. So we all come across those challenges, and it brings a lot of adversity at times. Sometimes it impacts relationships, not only with the family around, but maybe with the spouse, and it really becomes hard. So how do you think that can be best handled?
So is the question, if I've understood it, are you asking me how do we strengthen relationships? Is that so? Or what's your exact
challenges
question?
that come across when we start doing something? Not about relationships, but how to handle those challenges when we get into something.
So my understanding is whatever appeals to us, we'll find a time for it. And whatever doesn't appeal to us, for that, we'll always have some excuse or the other. We'll be those, bad workmen who can always quarrel with the tools. But once we've made up our mind that there is something that appeals to us, something that resonates with us, and something that we really want to do, then I think the little step that we need to do is, one, get a hands-on knowledge about what exactly it is, go into the depth and understanding of it. And second is we need to make the time available for that. Managing our time, because if we do not manage our time here, that is something which is, working backwards, it's going to add to our stress. So we have to figure out a way how to do it and how to do it nicely and harmoniously. We cannot overlap things. There are certain responsibilities and roles that we have to do. There are certain things which we cannot negotiate with. So now whatever is remaining, maybe, that means being in a little uncomfortable zone for a while. Hypothetically, if I like spending leisure time for 5 hours, if I'm wanting to do something passionately, then maybe I need to curtail those 5 hours and put those 3 hours into passion. So that balancing and that time management, we'll have to work out. We'll have to work out strategies around that, what gives us, that sense of achievement. If it is important for us, we need to work around that.
That's so well said. I completely agree. If we are really passionate about something, we'll find ways and means to do it. Otherwise, probably we were not as much into it. I completely agree. Absolutely. Well said. I think it's been a great, great enlightening talk with you, Harleen. I myself feel so motivated and inspired once again. Thank you so much for, putting in all the passion, energy, and effort into delivering the message right. We really loved it. So what would be a closing message for our lovely friends out there?
All of us are beautiful and we are worth it.
Oh, wow.
We are the ones, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And we are gifted that way. I think the world is all beautiful because of the beautiful women around us. Love you all, gorgeous women there. And the world is beautiful because all of you are there. And thank you, Aditi, for having me over. Thank you and all the very best to the Her Tribe. It is a brilliant initiative and wish you a rocking success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harleen. Thanks for all your wonderful advice. Thanks a lot. We'll catch up again. So thank you, everyone, for joining us in. We'll see you again next week, Saturday, same time, 4 o'clock. And we'll have a session with our next expert, Pallavi Chaturvedi, who's a financial expert, and we'll deal with that. Thank you all.